Hello. In this video, we're going to take a moment to take a look at Sphere2, our visualization software that we use with our document cameras. You'll be using this software if we are going to a distance learning model where you're needing to teach from home and want to use your document camera there. You'll also find you will use this software if you have a TV in your classroom and want to be able to utilize the digital document camera with the television itself. So first off and foremost, let's get how we get to Sphere. We do not provide a shortcut on the desktop for Sphere by default, so it is already installed. It's just a matter of finding it. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to our little start menu, give that a click, and we're going to scroll down until we see the AVER Informations Incorporated folder. Go ahead and give that a click, and it's going to open up a list. Again, we're going to scroll until we see Sphere2. This is a software that we use. If you give that a click, it'll open up. One of the other things you can do as well, if you don't want to go through all that scrolling, if you give it a click right here at the little circle, you can start by typing Sphere. So we can type SPH, and you can see it comes up as one of our best matches right away, and I can give that a click. Once I give it a click, it's going to open the software title. Let me show you what it looks like here. Like this. Now, this is indicating that the visualizer is not connected, which means we either haven't plugged in our digital camera to our surface or we haven't turned it on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so you can see what that looks like because I have connected it. So as our digital camera, document camera turns on, you'll see it says it's connecting, and then off it comes and the camera starts adjusting its focus and brightness to whatever is going on. So this is kind of what it looks like once you get it up and going. Now, I'm sure you're saying to yourself, hey, why doesn't it fill the screen? That's how Sphere starts out. Anytime you open it up, this is how it starts. Before I show you how to take it full screen, though, we're going to take a moment, and I'm going to show you how to quickly pin it to your taskbar, so that way you can easily find it going forward, because I'm sure this is a software title that you'll be using quite a bit, especially if we're in that distance learning model or you have a television in your classroom. Even with the projector, you might find there's some cool features I'm about to show you that you want to incorporate into your lessons. So what we're going to do first is we're going to come right down here to the little sphere icon itself. We're going to give it a right click, which is going to bring up this, right click, which is going to bring up this menu right here. And we're going to tell it to go ahead and pin to taskbar. So this is going to stay down here now. If I go ahead and close it, every time, doesn't matter, it's going to stay there. So I can quickly give it a click whenever I want to use the software going forward. And voila, there we go. So, like I said, when we open the software, it's going to start just like this in that smaller screen. That's how the software defaults. So what we need to do is go ahead and maximize it using the center button right here on the window. And that's going to actually bring it to fill our screen. So this way it's a little easier for us as well as the kids to see. Now that we've got it maximized, you're going to notice there's a few different things right here that we're going to go over. Whiteboard, side-by-side, and visualizer. We'll get into the nitty-gritty here in just a moment. But I want to call out, visualizer is always where it's going to start, and that is just the live feed of your document camera. So you can definitely see my hand moving here, indicating that we have a live feed from the camera itself, and whatever is underneath that camera is shown. But like I said, there are some really cool tools and things you might find useful that we're going to kind of go over and spend some time with. So the first, if we're looking at it, let's click on Whiteboard. Okay. Whiteboard is just that. It is a large blank canvas. So if you've ever found yourself looking for a scratch piece of paper to want to be able to do a lesson with the students that you're writing stuff out, well, look no further. You can actually make a digital whiteboard that you can play with and use a bunch of different colors with and everything. So we're going to kind of show you those tools. But this is a great little option that we have. And of course, if you're using the Loom software to actually record it, it's going to record whatever on your screen. So this is a great little way to get some new life and energy into some of just the plain everyday workbook stuff. So when we open up the whiteboard, you're going to have a list of tools right down here. And these are what we're going to use. Now, I can use the mouse, I can use the touchpad on my surface, or if I have a stylus for my surface, I can use those as well. All I have to do is click on the tool that I want to use. So first one that comes is freehand, and think of this as a pen or a colored pencil or crayon or whatever have you. This is what's going to give me that ability. Now, one thing to keep in mind with any of these tools, as far as these guys right here are concerned, before I start drawing with it, just like in real life, I have to know what color I want, and I have to know what size of marker I want in my hand. So to set the color, it's this little palette right here. This will give me a list of the basic colors that, are just kind of generic and common. And I can simply click on one and it'll change my marker to that color. And I can go about using it up here if I wanted to, or I can come right down here to the palette itself and get an advanced array of colors. So let's say I wanted the purple here, I can click on that, or I can even come over in here and grab my little bar and drag it wherever I want, find a color that I'm happy with, and tell it to add to custom colors, and then tell it OK. Once I've done that, the color I had selected is now what the pen is actually at. But the other thing I want to make sure of first too is the size and style of which I'm drawing. What I mean by that is this line style guy right here that we're highlighted on. Give me a thickness guide so I can make it pretty thin like this, or I can come up and make it a little bit thicker or thicker still. So depending on what I'm doing and how bold I want it to be, I can select that. But I also have a couple more options right here. The first one being just a standard line, like I've been drawing the last three. And then this one here gives me an arrow, so I don't have to be a perfect drawing person. If I give that a click, draw, and release, it's going to add a little arrow in to the end of my my line segment there without a problem. So if I wanted to point at something, I can easily do so. Or if I'm making a number line and I kind of want to be more mathematically correct, that it goes that way, and we go back to here and say this is 0, and then it goes -1, -1. You can definitely do that. Just make sure you turn off the arrows, because otherwise it looks a little funny, right? And then you have a dotted line. So if I wanted to play hangman with the kids, maybe. I'm not 100% sure how this would be exactly useful on an everyday on a whiteboard, because the kids are not directly interacting with this whiteboard. But if you needed to maybe cross out a word or something to kind of denote a different notation on the whiteboard, you can definitely use the little tool there. So like I said, just make sure you select the type you want before you begin to draw, and you'll get going there. Now, the first box that I skipped over here, we're going to go back to now because we have lines we can play with. This is a select object box. What that means is I can come in here and I can select an object by clicking, dragging until it highlights, and releasing. Now that I've selected that box, just like a text box or an image in any other document you've probably ever worked with, as you come down over it, you're going to get the little 4-way arrow. If I click and hold, I can now move that to line it up with where I need. In this case, we'll line it up with a dashed line. Now, unlike other things, I cannot resize these. So whatever size I've chosen to draw is the size that it's going to remain. But if I need to move it, the select tool will let me do that. But hey, maybe I needed it bigger or I needed it smaller and I don't want that there anymore. Well, come right here. We have the eraser tool. We click that and it does just that. It erases that one line. And then of course we have a broom tool here that erases everything. As you can see, if I just leave my mouse over it for a second, it says clear all, and that's exactly what it does. So the next in our array of tools that we can use is a highlighter. And again, this is just as we said, this is going to give you kind of an opaque coloring. So if you needed to highlight a word or a problem you've written up on the whiteboard already. So let's go ahead and select a pencil here, standard line. Let's make it green, and let's make it the number 2. All right. And then if I wanted to highlight that and then do the same kind of thing, but I'm going to select the highlighter, and then I'm going to select my highlight color, and I'm going to select my size, just like I did with the pencil, no different. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to proceed to highlight however I want. And there we go. And again, keep in mind, in this case, I can be using the Surface stylus, the Surface touchpad, the Surface mouse, or if you're feeling really fancy, you can free finger it with the touchscreen itself on the Surface. So, you've got plenty of options to get what you want done without too much of an issue. Oops, I didn't want to make that last line. Hey, undo, 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 redo. Forwards and backwards, just like on any other ones. The next list of our tools is giving us an actual line. So instead of freeform, we give it a point, and it'll give us a line from point A to point B, wherever we release the mouse, however we release the mouse. So if you're looking to try to draw as straight of a line as possible to point out something or underline a word or underscore a word, we can definitely do so there using the line tool. And then you have text, which will allow us to select just that, creating some kind of text. If we want to type something in, we can definitely do so here just by selecting text. Give it a click, it'll get it up there, and we can start typing. And there we go. And then, of course, we can come back over to the select tool, give that a select, and move it to wherever we want. And finally, we have shapes. Shapes are cool. You have both a solid shape and you have an outline shape. So solid shape does just that. It gives a nice solid looking circle in this case. And then we can do an outline, and we can put an outline of a square around our circle. And same with triangle. We can just select that and it will give us that shape. Should we want, need, or use those? And again, the eraser tool will let me just erase one, and the broom tool will clear them all. So that's kind of a general gist of your annotation tools. Now these remain the same no matter which mode we go into, so we'll kind of touch base a little bit again on them, but not as in detail. The next mode is side-by-side. And side-by-side is pretty cool. What side-by-side allows us to do is it allows us to see the visualizer side, or the document camera live feed. Okay, so we can see my hand here waving back and forth. So it gives us the live feed of the document camera. But you'll notice here on the other side, it gives us the ability to add an image or camera too. Now I currently have my camera on my Surface off because my Surface screen is closed. But if you wanted to, you could turn on your Surface camera and you could have your face here in this image as you're talking to your students doing things there, so they can get a look at you as you're doing things. Or we can add another image. So we're going to actually kind of see what that looks like right now. So I wanted to add another image to call to attention on what I'm doing. Let's say it's a contrasting image or a similar thing. It's not something I need to work with real time, but it's something that I definitely kind of want the kids to be able to see or recall. All I have to do is I come up right up here to this little 3x3 grid. If you're a Google document, it kind of looks like the Google waffle, right? So we're going to go ahead and give that a click. And it's going to open up my sourcing of how to add things. Now, by default, the software is going to look at where Aver stores its photos. Most of us don't store our photos there. We let Windows just dictate where those goes, and those goes to My Pictures. So what we're going to do is we're going to come right down here to the bottom, and we're going to tell it to open Windows Explorer. And this is going to be how I get to my photos. Honestly, the rest of these you're not going to use. I'm not going to go into really any detail on them because they're really advanced settings. And I add a photo, come right here to this folder and give it a click. And it's going to open up this nice little window here. And because we're opening it up, you'll see that it says it's in the Aver folder or in the media library, which doesn't do any good. But my pictures are right here. I'm going to give that a click. Now, And then whatever I have saved for my photos, I can simply tell it I want. So in this case, I'm going to take the MCS banner photo that I have as my contrast. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag it right over to where it says to please insert it and let go. And there you go. You can now see that. Now, here's the cool thing. I want more than one. So I also want this photo here. We're going to do the same thing. Click, drag, and let go. And it's going to go ahead and divide that screen up for us and give us another photo. So now, go ahead and close this. I have a couple of different things. I'm going to go ahead and close that little waffle icon by giving it a click again, so that way I get my full picture back up and going. So now I've got the MCS sticker logo that we're using on the Chromebooks themselves underneath the document camera to show my students or staff or whatever I'm doing. And in contrast, I'm showing you what that looks like compared to the banner on the MCS for kids and telling you how cool it is that we float in the Milky Way galaxy. I don't know. It's just another photo I had. So that kind of gives you a rough idea. Now, here's the cool thing. Let's say I'm talking about this, but I want to draw your attention straight to one of these photos. I can do like I'm doing to you guys right now and put my mouse there and our eyes naturally go to that movement. But I can also give it a double click and make it the only thing you guys see. So that way I can draw attention to it. And just like before, I can come down here to my annotation tools, grab my freehand tool, set a size and set a color that I want to work with, and then I can point out this M should be a W. I don't know. However you want to do, whatever you want to do, you can set that. So again, it's a kind of cool little tool that lets me call out something that I'm working with on the students. And in this case, it's not even something that I'm live working with. It's a digital image that I already had. Oops, I highlighted the wrong thing. It is supposed to be an M. Again, I come right down here and click that undo, and off we go. Now I'm done with this, and I want to go back to everything. I double click it. Oops, I give a click right here back to where we're working with our tools, and then double click again, and I'm back to just the three windows. Decide, hey, I'm done with this completely. I don't want you guys paying attention to this at all. If I come, put my mouse on it, and give it a click so I am highlighted. As you can see here, highlighted. Give a click, highlight. I get these groovy little tools right down here, and this last one lets me get rid of it. So that's a quick way to kind of, throw something different in on the media if you need to, or, if you want to work with the document on one thing, and maybe this is a page you're hand drawing. This space scene, for example, you can show what you're doing in real time, and the kids can see what it's supposed to actually look like. I'm not sure. Use your imagination. There's plenty of choices out there. And then the last one is Visualizer, and it is just that again, like we said. It goes back to the document camera live feed itself. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out, your tools kind of change when you go to Visualizer. You'll notice that ribbon that we've been seeing in Whiteboard and we saw in Side by Side, all of a sudden looks a little different. So we're going to kind of point that out. Now, basically, what it's done is it's giving you the document camera tools, and these are the buttons directly on the document camera itself. So when I give that a click, it gives me the same buttons that are there: my auto focus, my auto adjust, my zoom in, my zoom out, my back to normal zoom, my rotation of my screen, and the image adjust, which adjusts for coloring and brightness and stuff of that nature. There's some advanced features in here. I don't advise getting into the advanced features because you can really mess with the coloring and everything turns up red or blue. Allow the system to kind of auto and just stay right here with these guys here. So if I needed to zoom in, I could do so by manually clicking, or zoom out, or set it back to normal zoom. I can just click on those. If I want to make sure this doesn't go anywhere when I click away or move away, I can click this little pen right here and it'll tack these tools to my visualizer. The next one is our annotation tools that we've gone over already. You can see they haven't changed. You can use them just like you've been doing on the whiteboard or side by side. So if you're working on a sheet with the kids that you don't want to have to like print out 5 copies with to do 5 different lessons with 5 different groups of kids, you can actually just do it all digital again using your stylus from your Surface, using your mouse, or just using your touch screen or trackpad itself with the Surface. The next ones I'm not going to really get into because they're not ones that we really support or have you guys use. The recording and stuff we're telling you guys to use Loom with and stuff. So just know that you're mainly going to live either here or maybe you have to go over here real quick because in your home setup, you've set your document camera on a table. It's a little further away. And since you're doing it all digitally with annotation tools and stuff, you want to zoom in real quickly. You can do that, then go back to here, grab your freehand tool, and go right to drawing. And that's generally the gist of it. From there, all you have to do when you're done is simply close out. And you're set. So hopefully that answers some questions for you folks that are out there. Of course, always feel free to reach out to the help desk, and we'll be more than glad to provide more details should you have any other questions. Thank you for your